So I actually have been completely disconnected for the last week and a half. So I just know what I see on Instagram or the testimonies of Red Cross and FEMA just kind of giving people their 30 days or, notices to move and not knowing that fear that they still have not having like long-term housing in place. So
Mhm.
it's still a problem.
Yeah. Is it causing problems like economically there? Like, are people losing jobs? Are they, or is it not
Yeah,
really?
I would say that it's still having an economic ripple. Like for me, my businesses are not even one of them are not up and running to full capacity anymore. So having that revenue loss, the SBA loan that we applied for, still don't have those funds, like the disaster unemployment assistance, still processing. So it's been a really rough financial month for everybody that was impacted, not just from losing their home, but yeah, from not having income from tourism businesses or jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
to
pretty
put it in
unfortunate.
perspective, like the some things that I don't know, you might not think about like when you're not here in Maui, is it all right, so fortunately we don't really have a lot of rentals in Lahaina. We have three rentals in Lahaina, but they're in Honokawai, so they were pretty much like besides losing work, they were unaffected. But a lot of my rentals are in Kihei, and even in Kihei, my tenants are kind of struggling because they're they had done an article like on one of the websites insider.com or something like that where I just happened to see it and I was like, oh shit, that's my tenant. And it was about how like they lost $45,000 in bookings because they run dive boats and a dive shop. And they're in Kihei. Like Kihei's like pretty much unaffected, but because I don't know what the cause is, whether it was just our initial comments about like don't come to Maui right now, or if it was just people assuming they shouldn't be coming. But yeah, everybody, from my perspective, it seems like a lot of people are hurting really bad because of the tourism slowing down so much, even though like really only Lahaina tourism kind of needs to come to a halt, right? Like Kihei in Lahaina is just I don't know the statistics, but it's less than 50% of the market, that's for sure. Kihei is definitely a bigger vacation market than Lahaina. And then you got Paia and then the sporadic places of country in Waihu. So like it's a very small portion. It's a big chunk, but it's a small portion of our vacation market, but our vacation market is almost completely shut down. I flew on a flight from the mainland and I was on an A320, so it's like 200 person, like the
Mhm.
American Airlines, three seats on each side, mid-size, kind of like not a huge plane, but a big plane. And out of the 200 seats, there were 30 people on the flight from LA to Maui. That
Wow.
was like 2 weeks ago. And I heard the same thing from somebody who was on a, flight from Arizona 2 weeks before that. Um, so yeah, I I think it's slowly picking up a little bit. It's a lot like um, when COVID hit
COVID. Yeah.
and all this, it's not nearly the same feel. Like when COVID hit, I would drive to Lahaina and would see like two cars the whole time on the poly. Now it's not like that. Like you'll see other cars and stuff. But
But you got
but
the
the way
rental
that is,
cars, like those
so
guys, all the cars again, right? Like so much
building up
That's
by the airport,
how
yeah.
That's how you know our island is suffering is if you see the cars packed by the
Yeah.
airport, just parked.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Oh my
true.
God, it's like just a field of the rental cars, like goes,
Still.
it's
Yep.
crazy to see that again. It's like, holy cow. I mean, I know the tourism has slowed down, but that looks like it looks like they took every rental car for the whole state of Hawaii and put it in a field that goes on forever. It blows my
Dang.
mind to see the volume, but yeah, it's a little scary.
So yeah, that is, huh? So the economic impact is definitely something that they're gonna have to work through.
Yeah.
I think it was because of the initial reaction with everybody saying like it, don't come because it's, the resources and all that. I mean, I kind of get it. Like you can come to, I think we should have been a little smarter with that one,
Yeah, maybe it's in hindsight, it's easy to say, but
Right.
maybe if we had said like, don't come to West Maui, if you have a trip planned to Kihei, by all means, go to Kihei, stay in Kihei side, whatever, go, just don't go to Lahaina side. That's a very,
Wait, Greg, didn't you have a property in Lahaina, or is all yours in Kihei? Or
I have 3 condos in Lahaina, but they're Honokawai is like probably 10 minutes north of Lahaina town, so they
weren't affected?
the building's not affected at all. The only effect they had was they didn't have power for like a week, and then they didn't have their work has been a little bit slow, but yeah.
Well, I don't know how the housing market's doing then over there. I haven't really been able to keep up with what's going on either. It seems like a lot of the big, I guess, entities have taken over, which I don't know. We'll see which direction it goes. I'm thinking, because it directly affects us, is the housing, right? The housing market. So I mean, volume is down already. So just because of macro market conditions, but in Maui, I would assume is the market even slower now?
Dude, I don't even know. I can't figure it out. Yeah,
Is anyone
it's
there?
too soon.
Like, because like
I
I mean, there's a
see.
lot of investors on Maui. Like, are people still, we closed a couple loans out there, but
I'm in escrow to close. I'm closing a deal next week.
okay.
We're buying a house in Haiku that we're flipping. But yeah, I don't know. Anna, what do you think? Like, I can't tell what.
On the real estate, like the realtor side, I am seeing the agents that work with buyers, they are still pumping, and some people are utilizing the FHA disaster loan. So things are happening, things are
Buy
still
like a new,
moving.
is that like
Yeah.
a new, really?
So there's a FHA 203H is what they call it. And if you lost your house in the fire, whether it was a rental or something that
Okay,
you
you have to be a
own,
victim.
yes.
Okay.
And it's a 0 down payment,
Mm.
typical FHA guidelines and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I heard that one.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. I mean, I feel like the rest of the island, it doesn't really seem to be affected yet. I mean, I don't know. Like from what I've seen, like I don't see any change in the market. It seems to be exactly the same as what it was in July. Low inventory, stuff is moving if it's priced right. Like there hasn't been any drastic uptick or downtick from at least just again my outside perspective. But
Landlords are
yeah,
raising rents though, and they're
really,
getting reported. Yeah, there's some
yeah, because
crazy rents out there right now, 4,000, 5,000 for 3-4 bedrooms. So
yeah,
What would it
there's people
normally run?
circulating. Um, I would say right
you
now a
can't
3-bedroom is
raise rent
around
until November
3,000,
6th, right?
3,500.
Mm. Yeah, it's a big increase.
Yeah, but
30%.
everybody's on a moratorium right now where until October 17th. I don't know if they extended it yet, but they can't raise the rents from what they previously had. Even if they had somebody move out, they can't unless it's justified. If that person had a rent lock for 10 years and now they're bringing it to market. But yeah, it's just everybody that's jacking the rents up right now. There's a social media post going around, like report them to DCCA for taking advantage of it.
I mean, I wonder if a lot of people don't know that too, because I actually didn't know about that until, I mean, thankfully I didn't send any rent increases. Like, oh my God, I'd be so embarrassed if I did that. But like, I just didn't even know until like a week ago or something. But the one that I said where I heard it, I don't remember if it was on the news or what, but they were saying it's still, I think it was November 6th. Because I actually put it on my
Oh,
calendar
yeah.
because I was like, just in case somebody like, like I don't do a lot of rent increases, but there's times when it's like if somebody moves out or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's part of normal part of business. So
Huh.
I put it on my calendar and make sure like don't do any rent increases before this.
That's actually a great idea. It's very
Yeah.
sensitive right now, you know, like
Mhm.
so is there a moratorium on sales? No, right?
Not sales, but realtors just can't market to the 3 zip codes that were affected. Yeah.
They can't
Or
market.
investors too, I guess. Yeah.
Did anyone
Anybody
put their
that's,
property up for sale?
I think so.
Really?
I don't
Lahaina?
know. No, not
I got
Lahaina.
a
In
call.
Lahaina, in the zip code area, yes, but
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
checked if it was a burnt property or not.
I'm
I
always
got a call for Lahaina. I don't know if we talked. I don't remember exactly what we did and didn't talk about before, but I had been working with a seller in Ho'onanea is a newer townhome complex that's right in Lahaina town, and half of it burnt down. And I had been working with the seller in June, I think it was, and I got pretty close. Like we negotiated, and we were like right there. We actually almost did a what do you call the deal where you like work with the seller? The Novel Novus
probation.
Novelty
Innovation.
Novation, yeah. We almost did one of those. And then and she just seemed like really difficult. And so like I just kind of stopped talking to her. And then when the fire hit, I saw that she had been on MLS. She had listed for like 960 and then she dropped it to like 830. She wanted to fire sale this thing because she'd been trying to sell for like a year, but every realtor she hired, she got in a fight with. And then, like she was just seemed like a difficult person to work with.
Yes.
And ultimately she dropped the price to 830, got a buyer locked into escrow like 2 weeks before the fires happened.
Oh no. Yeah.
So of course the buyer canceled. And then she called me a couple weeks after the fires and was like, hey, you want to buy this place for like 1.2? I was like, what?
1.2.
1.2? What? How are
Oh,
you coming up with this number, lady? Like you crazy. She's
this
in
is
California.
after the fires?
Yes. I'm like, she's like, oh, they're so much more valuable now. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, maybe so, but like there's no data to justify that. That's absolutely insane. The last sales dictate that they are worth between 850 to 950. So if you want
There's
to
no
sell, that's
data
what you should be doing.
anymore anyways, right?
Right, yeah. There's no
Like
data
you
for what
can't
the market
even
is now.
get values anymore because we don't know where that market's gonna like where that if that town's ever gonna come back. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm guessing it will, like that's why they have to protect people from the sharks, but um I you have to always wonder the other side, like what if there is people who are in need and they need to capture some of that equity, even though it's only a little bit, to start their life again, and you put
Yeah,
a
I kind of put that
moratorium.
out on our website. I was like, I put in big bold letters, like right at the top of our website. Like, look, if you live in Lahaina, we are not interested in buying your place. Just straight up, like, if you please contact us because I mean, I would be honored to be able to contribute and help any way I possibly can, and we can use our experience in real estate and business to like help you figure out like how can we get you forbearance or whatever it is that we can do to help.
Yep.
But it's like, yeah, I mean, unless you have seriously considered and understand what you are giving up, we don't want to see families giving away their properties that, especially generational properties like that. You should figure out how to hold on to the property in that case. It's going to be hard, but because most people, I do think we talked about this where, displacement is generally 12 months, right? And these people are going to be 5 years easy to
Yeah.
rebuild. I
It's a
mean,
whole
just it's,
town, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So even if people start building their houses back individually, it's kind of like you still don't know the value anymore. It's like you have to wait till there's a marketplace. But Lahaina is, it's hard to believe that they're not gonna build it back. So,
Right,
Yeah.
like how, like, would you pay more or less for a house that now has no neighborhood? Like, I don't know. Like now there's way less supply, but how much is the demand? There's also no jobs. There's also no Lahaina town. It's gone. Like, what is it more or less value? I don't know.
oh, it's definitely not worth more. I don't think so. Like,
No?
it's
Okay.
crazy.
Because I hear a lot of people thinking that, like, oh, it's worth more now because if you want a house in Lahaina town, your options just got cut by like 80%. So I mean, in that, I get it. Yeah, sure, that's one perspective, but like at the same time, is why would you want a house in Lahaina town right now? You can't live there, first off. You can't even go to your house. And even once you can, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I never thought of that, I guess. There's not much supply, right? That's so like if you have a house that's in Lahaina, I guess it is could be worth more. I don't know. That's a good question.
That's what this seller was arguing. She's like, well, it was worth like 950 a month ago, and now 50% of the complex burnt to the ground, and the rest of Lahaina is gone. So if you want to live in Lahaina, this is like almost your only option. So people are gonna, I was like, I don't know if I really agree with, especially like, and I hate to say, whatever, based on where someone lives and all that, but like you being out in California, I think you need to be especially sensitive to how you are trying to, monetize your property here. Like, try to think about I don't know. That was a little bit upsetting. If she, I don't know, the fact that she was like somebody that doesn't even live here, and I was kind of like, man, you gotta really like you're giving white people a bad name here, lady.
She was
We're
Another
contributing to
good
the bad name we already have.
another good thing to note is that the courts, they don't care what zip code your property is in, they're still pursuing foreclosures.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. I haven't seen a single foreclosure list posted the whole, like, since the day
Oh,
of the fire.
they're still in the process of everything. So like I've been doing, yeah, the whole like marketing to distressed properties, helping them save or sell their house, or if we can buy it, then we'll buy it, but whatever makes sense for the homeowner. But yeah, they're still scheduling the court dates. They're still proceeding with things, whether they're in Kula or Lahaina. So
Interesting.
try
I
to
have
try to
seen,
help those people without
yeah,
technically marketing is a challenge.
yeah,
Right.
totally. There was a foreclosure in Kahana Ridge, I think it was, that those townhomes up in Kahana Ridge. And that one had already gone to auction. I think. I don't know. I wasn't really following it that close, but I think it went to auction like back in, like maybe May or June or something. And then the commissioner emailed me, or emailed, all the buyers, and said like, hey, I'm requesting that I'm not the commissioner of this anymore. And so I was I was like, oh, I'm curious to know like what's the story and what's happening with all that stuff. Cause that's just, in fact, you know what? I keep forgetting about this. We're actually we're in contract on a condo in Lahaina that was scheduled for foreclosure. It went to auction like a week before the fire. Or was it the day before the fire? It was something crazy like that. It's a condo in Napili Villas, so it's not burnt down or anything, but it went to auction. I think it was like a day or 2 days before. I think it was on Monday, the day before the fire. And we went into contract on it on like Sunday, 2 days before the fire. And
Yeah.
we haven't even talked to the seller, the borrower.
Oh, you
the
haven't heard from them?
commissioner. Oh, no, nobody, no. I mean, I got an email from the commissioner, but the commissioner's office is in Lahaina town. It actually, I just
Oh, wait,
learned.
it's
it
auction,
didn't-
right?
Yeah,
So
it's an
it's a
auction.
bank on the other side, right?
No,
Oh,
we
HOA?
are under contract with the borrower to
Oh.
prevent him from getting foreclosed.
Oh.
And so we were gonna buy it out from under the bank, basically. It had already gone to auction, so there's somebody already won the auction. Actually, I know who won the auction. He's a friend of mine. And we had actually negotiated a slightly higher price with the borrower. So
Or
we were both going to
okay, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what was going to happen, but now I really don't know what was going to happen. Like, I don't know what's going on. Because the commissioner who needs to help us, like, we got to talk to the bank and see if they're going to even like release the list pendants or whatever, like they got to do to allow us to even close the sale. But the commissioner has to kind of mediate all that, right? I think, at least. I don't know. I could probably try and reach out to the bank directly, but honestly, it's the last thing on my mind. The commissioner's office is in Lahaina town. So I had assumed his office was gone. I was trying to reach them to make sure they were alive. Because I know his assistant, Jamie, I've been working with them for years, and the girl had been on vacation for 2 weeks, and then she came back and I was talking to her Monday night, and she was working super late at night on Monday to try to catch up. And I was like, fucking shit, dude. Like, what are the chances that she went home from work on time on Tuesday? I was freaking out. And their office looks like towards the ocean. There's all this stuff is like crazy. It's just crazy how, like,
have you heard from her or no?
People, yeah. They're okay. It turns out, like, I don't know what the story is, but she wasn't there. There's no windows facing Malka from their office. So that was the other reason why I was like, worried. Like, they are they're on Waine'e Street and like Lahaina Luna, I think, or one of the, like, right in the middle. I mean, they had no clue, right? Like, they must have been sitting at their desk working. They wouldn't see anything. But somehow that building is still there. So everything around it's burnt to the ground. You can see it on like Google satellites already updated with the fire damage. So you can see like everything that's burnt down and everything that's not. And so miraculously their office is still standing, but obviously they can't go to it now. And they're okay. I don't know the story, but they're okay. So glad to hear that.
Wow. So they're still processing or going through the foreclosure process in Lahaina? Or maybe they're just carrying the inventory that was like pre-fire, like this one?
Oh yeah, these foreclosures are from before the fires. Yeah, it's been years, I think.
Yeah. Like the two I was talking about they've been in the process for years. So they're not like fresh from the fire or anything. I would be shocked if any bank is filing foreclosure for somebody that stopped paying since the fires already. Because they generally tend to be, I mean, at least on Maui, like really slow with that. Even local banks won't start the foreclosure process for probably, 6 to 12 months at least. A lot of times we see, like, most of the foreclosures that I go to bid on at the courthouse, they're usually from 10 years ago.
Yeah, crazy, right? Crazy. 10 years ago. What is it?
Yeah, a lot of them are from the Great Recession. They stopped paying, interest rates spiked up in the Great Recession, and the bank has just had it on the back burner this whole time.
Yeah. Unreal. Wow. Well, I mean, for Maui, it's gonna be hard to build back if we don't move together. There's a lot of like headbutting and like, how do we fix that problem, right? Otherwise nothing's gonna get done. It's gonna move on so slow. I mean, look how long it's taking them to build the rail out here. Billions of dollars over budget. It doesn't even go to the university anymore. So like, I hope it doesn't turn out to be like that. That was like, when did they start rail? That was like 15 years ago. I don't know.
It was when the Elvis comeback tour happened.
Yeah. Man. So, but I don't think, this is different. But one thing is, insurance is a problem now. Yeah. So I don't know how, Greg, are you buying all cash? Like, are you getting insurance?
The only thing that we have So we closed the whole sale in Oahu like last month. So that was pretty much like it was affected because we had a affidavit that we needed from the seller that was sitting in the Lahaina title guarantee office. So it delayed our closing. But like other than that, you know, it's just interesting that our closing document happened to be in the Lahaina TG office. We were unaffected, but the only one that we have besides that is the flip that we just put under contract in Haiku. We are my partner handles the funding, but he actually, because all his cash is tied up, he borrowed the money for this one from his, but like just from other investors. Like they just like wrote him a check or whatever. But you mean for as far as insurance purposes, we
Are you
have
having a hard time finding, or is it not?
no,
As long as it's
no,
not in Lahaina, I'm assuming.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about Lahaina too. I mean, we do
Oh yeah,
have
maybe.
policies on our condos in Lahaina, so
Right.
we'll find out when it's time to renew those. But we've gotten quotes from our two main like providers, Allstate and State Farm, for the flip that we're about to go under. Doesn't seem any different. It's 4,000 for the flipping policy, and it's 1,000 for the standard homeowners policy.
Yep.
So we're always like, well, which one do we do? Do we like try to save the money and take the risk that if it burns down, then we don't have any coverage because it was vacant?
Right.
But yeah, we don't seem to have any problem. But I did hear that. So my partner did send me this like maybe a month ago. He's like, hey, look, one of my buddies that's a big time, you know, broker or lender is saying that nobody can get insurance. Like there's like a moratorium or whatever it is, like nobody can get a policy. So like, you know, you can't sell anything basically if you can't get insurance. So it's like, that seems surprising. So I talked to my agent about it and he was like, no, I haven't seen that, like a problem with that. So he was like, we can write policies. We're writing policies. So that I don't know why that broker was spreading that misinformation, but
For a little while, it was pretty like nobody was like, everybody's like, okay, wait, let's see what's gonna happen. You know, like,
yeah,
and I'm hearing like some of the big providers like are not doing too good. Like they might be making their way out of Hawaii. State Farm included, and I use State Farm, so. But Raquel. Hi,
Hi,
Raquel.
everybody. Hi.
Hey.
This is Raquel Ani from the Big Island. Just wanted to add in with insurance. I did speak with Eugene Tagawa from Atlas Insurance, and he did confirm that a lot of the insurance companies are pulling out of Hawaii. So it's getting harder and harder to get insurance. So one of the things, I do general real estate, so as well as investing. And he was saying that if the homes are older than around 30 years old, it's not set in stone yet, but it's just some things to kind of keep in mind that if the homes are older than 30 years and that the insurance company might ask for any type of improvements on electrical, plumbing, and the roof because of everything that's happened. So they're just kind of tightening up the bolts and such. And so there might be a little bit of I guess, difficulty getting insurance, like if once you turn around to sell the home. So just a little heads up, but double check with your individual insurance carrier and see what their requirements are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raquel. That was great info. That was great. Yeah. But I heard the same thing. A lot of the providers are like leaving our space, so that's not good for us.
Well, Corey, did I bring up the whole Florida thing before? Like with
we talked about it before, but let's talk about it. Because you were in, actually Greg was that was during like the last Great Recession, right? And was that 09?
Yeah, I was in Florida during the Great Recession, but I was actually in Florida during the fires and everything too, and like the hurricane that just hit. We weren't really affected by
where in Florida?
My mom lives in Miami and my sisters. So I was like visiting my mom and my sisters, and I was in Miami. And so we were pretty much like we had some trees down and stuff from the hurricane, but like we weren't, it was
nothing
pretty minor.
Like what town really got hit hard in this last one? Wasn't it? It was like
That was
towards
like
Tampa,
the,
right?
yeah, like up in northern Florida. And then the last one we got was Irma. Irma was
Yeah.
pretty bad. I flew home just for that, like to go stay with my mom, because my mom's like 77 years old and she's not going anywhere, you know. She's like, this is my castle. She's lived there for like 40 years. So there's no chance she's evacuating. So I'm like, all right, if you're not leaving, then I'm coming. But
Oh,
anyways, point is that in Florida, it seems to be getting insurance seems to be becoming a big problem.
oh yeah.
There's a company, I don't know a whole lot about this, but there's a company called Citizens that is specifically, my understanding is, I believe that it is only for Florida homeowners, and they provide insurance for Florida if you live in Florida, if no other company will insure you anymore. So Citizens insures like, I don't know, probably 70% of the homeowners in Florida, because like they've all been dropped. So I'm curious if, like, you know, if this event is going to be big enough to cause for Hawaii to have that same kind of problem. And if we do, then are we going to have this like fail safe insurance policy? Or,
Right.
you know, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's curious. And now my mom's freaking out because she has Citizens and her house is like a tank, right? Like it's bulletproof. It's concrete, it's inland, it's up, like, you know, it's a nice kind of neighborhood. So like it's kind of high up, it's not a flood zone. It has like, you know, incline, you know, driveway, right? So
It was
like
a
even if
legit castle.
neighborhood, yeah, like
Those are castle.
it's a fort, dude. Like there's nothing. I mean, Hurricane Andrew, I think we lost some shingles, right? Whereas my friends' houses were flattened 10 minutes away, like
Right.
gone. Their houses were
Dang.
gone. And so, and like our house was basically like our palm trees got blown over and we lost some shingles. Like that was it. We had some broken doors and windows, but like it was nothing compared to my friends' losses. And so, anyways, point is that they're now coming out to inspect her home. They're like, we need to send somebody to inspect and blah, blah, blah. And like, she's all freaking out. 'Cause she's like, what if they come and say like, oh, we're dropping you? If they do that, there's no, I mean, she just won't have insurance anymore. She'll have to self-insure. Like that's the only option. So
Mm.
seeing that in Florida is kind of like, I'm this, I hope it's not like a precursor for what we're going to experience here, you know. Hopefully now the thing that makes me feel like that, not worry so much about this, is that Florida has had Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane, what was all the ones in 2005 and 6? We had like 4 hurricanes that year.
The condo that went down, that caused big
Charlie,
problems.
Irma. Oh my God, we've had so much, like every other year we
Yeah.
get hit by
Florida
a
is
major
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's constant. So my hope is that like this event, as catastrophic and horrible as it is, I hope that it is not enough to get Hawaii to the point that Florida
Yeah.
is at now. You know, I don't.
Well, and I have faith that an entrepreneur, or hopefully many entrepreneurs, will come and save the day. You know, like the Citizen guy. I don't know. Is it a government entity? I have no idea what Citizens is, but
Yeah, I don't know. I was wondering about that too. I'm guessing it's probably,
if it's a
yeah.
private company, but I don't know, like where, unfortunately, where there's like, you know, problems and disruption is opportunity. And so, and this is big disruption. If a lot of the big carriers start leaving our islands, then that's a problem. So there's going to have to be some group, and I have faith there's somebody will take the risk, you know, hopefully they do it right. But I think, you know, I believe that the market always will correct itself. You just got to let it, you know. So the insurance side, you know, when you first get into real estate, right? And you just think it's about like flipping a house. It's so you maybe you'll do 1, 2, 3, and then you start hitting, you know, you start to realize it's more than just, that's a fraction of what we do, right? You have to know marketing, negotiations, people skills. You have to be aware of economic conditions and stuff like this with insurance, because if your insurance goes up, your price is going to go up. Granted, if your insurance breaks the deal, then it's not a deal, right? But the fact is, if you can't get insurance, then you can't get the deal, because you won't be, unless you buy it cash and you want to take risk. Yeah, and that's a possibility too. But in these times, I think there's so much uncertainty. I was just talking to ATM, Alex Moore on our team. We're talking about, fourth quarter coming up, and the volume is down, right? So realtors, conventional loan officers, like even, our side is not as slow as conventional, but it's still 40% down, because the volume transactions are down about, right about there nationwide. So right now is
Okay, so not related to Maui at all. Like
No,
this is not, this is just because of the loss in inventory and the slowdown in the market.
yeah, not I'm talking more now, like, across but just as a house flipper, when you first start out, right? If you're flipping houses, like, you just focus on, marketing and maybe hiring crew and executing on the project, lining up your financing. But all of these things come into play too, because you don't want to be coming into like the closing table or like midway through escrow when on a purchase, and then you realize, oh, I can't get this thing insured, and then you lose your earnest money deposit. Hopefully you catch that ahead of time, right? Something simple like that. But like, there's so much that can affect what we do, and I think part of it, that's what keeps it kind of interesting. Like, it never gets stale. Feels like always you're trying to keep a lookout for something going on, especially in the last few years, right? Since we started this call, it's like COVID, and then appraisal shortages, and it's always a problem. And but when you're first starting out, you're so focused on the tangible information, and then the macro kind of goggles that you have to have on all the time don't quite get developed until later. But I think if new investors that come into the business that came in like right around 2019, 2020, one, I think is a dangerous time. Like, if you're buying heavy in 2021, like, I bet you're having issues. Like, it's hard to offload properties, permits took a long time, supply chain issues, like, crew was backed up, right? That was in 2021 is when everything was clogged. And so if a new investor coming in 2020, 2021 has already seen like craziness, so hopefully if we just make it through, then we'll be better for it, right? And what we're talking about is, I think right now, especially for us on the private lending side, like, this is the hardest period, is the uncertainty, the stale market where it's not going up or down in a dramatic way. That's where it's a hard market, because you can't trade, when it's a flat market. So for us in the private lending space, it's like, either way it goes, if it goes down, then it's good, it's okay. Like, it's still, we need volume as investors. We need the volume to come back, right? We need more supply on the market. So, but when you're in a flat market, it's very hard to move. It's like, it's hard to buy right, because people aren't putting their houses on the market, right? So now the supply is still low and you're paying extra, right? And if we just make it through, the stale period, when things start to happen, whether it goes up or down, I think that's when we'll start to see hopefully our economy build back, correctly. And hopefully it's not a drastic move either way, because the market going up is not going to be good either, especially if it goes up quickly. If it goes down, I think it's healthy to a certain extent. And then then there's pain. But what's your guys' thoughts before we kind of start wrapping up? But on maybe Anna, Greg, Raquel, since you guys have been on, if you guys have any thoughts on where we're going to be going. It's always interesting to ask. Nobody wants to roll the dice.
That's why I come on this call is to hear from you guys. I have
Man,
no, my crystal ball broke so long ago.
well, I don't know why. I mean, because I've been wrong probably every time. It's but this is probably one of the most hardest environments to navigate. You just don't know. You don't know what's gonna happen, right? Like
Yeah, I've been
overbuilt.
super conservative. If I can't rent it out to a long-term tenant, then I probably shouldn't touch it right now. Is kind of my rule of thumb.
Yeah. I think that's a great point because like no matter what, either way, it's like we have to even more than ever stay true to the principles, you know, and the fundamentals of investing, which is have multiple exit strategies, right? Buy right, don't over leverage, and be conservative on your values and your timelines and your budgets. And I think that's really all we can do. Watch, you know, have these conversations, watch the macro, you know, the macro environment and focus on what we can control. Um I I think soon I want to try to see if I can bring somebody on more in the commercial space. So if anybody has anybody that they recommend, it'd be great to you know, if we can be in touch with them and see if they want to talk about what they think is going to happen on the commercial side. Because there's still talks a lot about that. You know, where the bomb is still ticking away, but you never know. You know, single family, this might be a slow burn. It might take a while, you know, and if that's the case, then um maybe commercial, even though they're different kind of sectors, they do play one of the same, you know, it's still real estate. So if anybody does have any, please reach out to us and drop us a name or two.
Abe,
Since,
bro.
huh?
Abe
Oh,
Squaw.
that's a good idea.
We'll
Yeah.
do it. Sure.
Okay. Hey, yeah. Hey, did you have a update on the
Yeah,
Josh?
so I have a rough email drafted up, guys, and I've got some numbers from a few people. Like right now on Maui with our group, we have 12 ground up properties that can be built that I know of right now, if we can get them permitted, expedited. We have 7 properties that are currently being rented already to people from the fire. But I know there's more opportunities and more people that have some more properties over there. So I just want to come with a little more data. So Anna, I sent you a direct message so we could do a quick call after. But when we were in Vegas and we got to meet with the governor, I got to talk to him for a couple minutes. And he told me, like, in the beginning, he wasn't interested in coming on our call for like 6 to 8 weeks. But after I told him a little bit more of like what we're doing and how we've helped and what's possible, he was a lot more interested in coming on sooner. So he just told me to reach out to his aide and we'd get something scheduled. But I want to make sure that we kind of nail it with showing him, hey, this is what's already a possibility right now, and you know, with your help we can execute a lot faster. But he did tell me they're willing, it's looking like they're going to do a 2-year rent assistance program. So Anna, like you were saying, a property that can be rented, they're going to pay 200% market rent for 2 years. So, and then they're also going to give tax incentives to whoever the people are that rent their properties out. I did speak with Moana and I kind of liked her idea too, that she would like to see it be an option for people to take a 2-year rental assistance or a down payment assistance. Because if they could get the down payment assistance and use their insurance claim, maybe they can buy a property and build some equity for the next 4 to 5 years while Lahaina is being built. And then if they want to sell, they can go back and buy in Lahaina, you know. But because otherwise, if they just do the rental assistance at the end of 2 years, they might not, you know, be in a position to buy. So I like that idea from Moana. But so I just wanted to get a little more information and data, because I think we do got a good shot, you know, from what I saw, and I'm sure what Corey saw in that meeting that we got to attend. Green wants to help, and from the conversation I had with him, it feels like, you know, he wants to help and do what he can. So I think we got a good shot here, and I just want to come with a little more numbers to just show like, hey, there is a really big potential just by you coming on this call and helping our small group, that we can help a lot of people.
Yep. And the fact that he's open to it too, right, says a lot. And I think that's the feeling I got. I mean, we got to put ourselves in his shoes. Imagine how many, and Alex and I we still don't know what that meeting was for, to be honest, but we kind of have an idea. And it's just confirmation in that, like, he's in a tough spot because, one, he's in crisis mode, but two, you're not going to make everyone happy no matter what. And, you know, throw on top of that a strong culture that we have as people of Hawaii, right? We can be a little stubborn, you know, we can be a little aggressive when it's not necessary, or it could have been handled a little better. We could use the better words, better tone. So, you know, after hearing him speak, like, yeah, he's the guy he's a doctor, you know, that found himself as leader of the state, and it is what he asked for, what he campaigned for. So there's no, you know, I have no sympathy really, but we can have understanding and grace, I guess, right? And let his actions determine, you know, our actions and our, you know, how we respond. I think because what I saw was a guy just like any one of us, you know, who is now in a position where the entire state is riding on his shoulders. He looked tired, you know, so yeah, that I think as long as we keep that understanding, and we're gracious with his time, I think perhaps this could lead to more things that we can help play a role in. And if there's no role, then that's fine too. At least we can find out, and at least our voice was heard, right? So that'll be awesome. And thanks to Alex for getting that done, man. Like, he made his way right to the governor, and there's a lot of, like, it was a small meeting. It was like 30 people or something. And but everybody wants to talk to him, you know. So it was a very interesting event, and I got a lot out of it, actually. Hopefully one day we can share more. One thing I did want to bring up kind of before we log off is we are having the Rise Up event, our Rise Up event in October 14th. I believe it's 14th. I always get the days wrong. And so I think next week we're gonna try to see if we can have Aiden on. Aiden was supposed to be on today, but one, we kind of were short on time, and then he's handling a bunch of stuff. So, but Aiden is a guy where I'm so proud of him. You know, and like I think some of you guys have watched kind of his career, and it's only the beginning. He's only 22 years old, and he's crushing it. You know, he's leading our company, and I really want to, especially since he's going to be speaking at the Rise Up event, you know, highlight him and his journey that he's been on. I think you guys will find it pretty cool and inspiring. So I do, anyways. Maybe I'm biased, but does anybody have? Oh, one last thing too. The leads, these are good deeds. We kind of skipped that, but I'll give an update that the deductibles that when he started the GoFundMe page, they started to go out. And so far from what I'm seeing, I'm following on all the email trails. It's just amazing, you know, and it's such a great idea. And, you know, it really is helping people, even though it's just a little bit, you know, just for the deductible, like it goes a long ways, you know. So I wanted to highlight that. And that was kind of Kiko that was spearheading that. He's in Riverside right now with the New Wealth family. So he couldn't make it on, but next week we'll be back at it. So thank you guys, Greg and Anna, for giving an update. That was awesome. Like, thank you. I wasn't expecting that. But that was great. And thank you, Raquel. And thank you all of you guys for jumping on this week. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Aloha, everybody.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.